So let's look a little bit further into the join command. So we just went over the example of having a path, selecting a couple of anchor points, and then using Command or Control J on the keyboard to join those anchor points across the gap. Now what we're doing to do that is going really into object path. This is the join command here. There's an average command too that I want to look at a little bit more. But a couple examples along the way. So this is the basic idea. Here's a path. Maybe we have split it apart. Maybe it was two paths that were never joined, but we are going to then select those anchor points with direct selection tool and then Command J to join them. Now notice when you do that, you are going to end up with more anchor points than what you really need to have along this path. And needing to go back in and sort of clean these up, and I'm just using remove anchor point tool now, is a pretty common thing to do, so that you don't end up with extra anchor points that can lead to messy problems down the line. Here's another example. This one I just started with a couple of circles, one inside the other, and the dotted line here to indicate that I'm going to start to segment this off, and not so much along the path, although I will be putting, using the scissors tool to cut into this path, but then the idea is that we're joining it across two separate paths to create this sort of segmented color wheel sort of shape. So to do that, easiest way to do it, you've got your scissors tool, and I'm just going to click here with it, make some segments on this. I'll make a couple more here and here, and then we can go through and start to select those and use Command J join tool wherever I clicked on those, and it starts to have this segmented look. Now if I was to, these are not joining like exactly how you would expect them to. There's some things that aren't fully joined up there, but it's on the right track. So this is a tool that you often need to use in conjunction with the shape builder tool. I'm going to cover that more coming up, but the keyboard shortcut for that one is Shift M, and this is one where if I hover over these different segments that I've made and just click on them, it's going to do the rest of the job for us and then turn those into the segments that we were hoping to sort of create. So that is a useful sort of combo tool. Bringing join tool in. Here's another example of how this might commonly be used. So drawing something where you're basically just drawing half of the shape, and then you want to duplicate it, rotate it so that you have the other half that's either perfectly symmetrical or approximately symmetrical, and then join those up. So here I have half of sort of a simple crown shape. I'm holding down Alt or Option in the keyboard on the keyboard and dragging from that object in layers to duplicate it. Going into Properties, and here I'm going to click on Flip Horizontally, and then you can see I need to sort of manually move these into place. And I'm going to zoom in and do my best to sort of get those lined up. Smart Guides on will help you to kind of click them into place. But then, from there, Command J, selecting those, selecting these at the bottom, Command J, and that should be now something that I can fill in as a solid shape. From there, I can go in, to one side or the other and change it up a bit so that it's not exactly the same, and that can be more kind of organic and handmade looking that way. But you start with just half of a drawing and join them, go from there. And then the other associated tool with join tool that I wanted to show, and something I don't think I've mentioned really yet probably, or that you may be less familiar with, rotate tool. So obviously, when you start in Illustrator, you're making objects, and then you're commonly using just your selection tool to rotate things, resize, rotate, move. But also there is actually a rotation tool, and the keyboard shortcut for it is R right here. There's a reflect tool, there's a rotate tool. So to make something like this kind of spirally, pinwheely sort of shape, all I did was grab an arc, line segment, make an arc, and then from within layers, click and hold down, click and drag while holding Alt or Option to duplicate it. And then with the rotate tool selected, I'm going to click down here on this pivot point, because right now it's thinking I want to rotate from here, where you can just see that faint blue line, but I'm going to click right there. And then when I start to rotate this, it's going to rotate from that pivot point, and I can pull down. So that's what I did with these, and I just did, another repetition and moved it, another repetition and moved it, another repetition, so on. But when you really zoom in on it, you're going to see that it's quite messy here. And if we look at this in outline view, there's all of these trails, where these aren't really coming together very well, and it leaves this blobby interior. And so object path average, which is related to join, is going to help us to clean this up. So this is something to explore. I'm just going to show it to you a little bit here. So I'm going to select all of these inner anchor points, and then object path average, and I'll just leave this on both, click OK. And then when we zoom in, you'll see it looks a lot better, and if we look at this in outline view, it's coming together perfectly there in that interior point. So a little deeper dive there into some of the join command stuff and the things within object path. Bit of an introduction there, which I hope is helpful.